There are certain moments in the world that are not officially broadcast, not announced by agencies, nor marked by dramatic background music or camera highlights. A small moment, almost trivial, but when enough people pay attention to it, it suddenly feels thrilling. For BTS fans, the moment came in the form of silence. And the silence came from one person who has been known as a little light who never misses greeting in the comments column, JIMIN, a member who had always responded to his friends' posts with heart emojis, warm sentences, or jokes that only they understood, suddenly became silent. Not just one day, not 2 days, but days, week after week. Everyone who follows the lives of BTS members through social media starts to feel something strange. And the strangeness was further felt as the other members continued to interact, greeting each other and joking in the comments, while JIMIN seemed to disappear from that space, a small space that used to be very familiar to him. What made fans even more uneasy was the fact that JIMIN didn't actually disappear. It still looks active. He still likes fan posts, sometimes uploading photos or updating his status. But he stopped commenting on the other BTS members' posts, something that ARMY felt was more than just a change of habit. It felt like a wordless message. Questions arise. Is this just a phase? Is JIMIN busy with a personal project? Or is he facing emotional pressure that makes him choose to hold back? In the fan community, long threads began to appear that compiled a chronology of the disappearance of JIMIN's characteristic comments. There were fans who pointed out that the last time JIMIN commented on Jungkook's post was a month ago, and since then there has been no more interaction. When RM uploads photos with philosophical quotes into which JIMIN usually slips a joke or a small greeting, there is no trace of it. V, who often idly interrupts JIMIN in the comments column, now does not get a reply as before. No reply. There is no heart. Only the silence felt thicker and thicker by the day. For those who are new to BTS, this may seem like a trivial matter. But for longtime fans who grew up with the members' warm interactions, JIMIN's disappearance from that space is a hard sign to ignore. For many years, JIMIN was the figure who lit the warmth in BTS's virtual space. His comments were not just a joke, but a reminder of their closeness. So when the heat suddenly goes out, people start to wonder, has something changed? Some fans tried to answer the question with speculation. Some believe that this is part of a promotional strategy, that JIMIN is preparing something and deliberately keeps his distance so as not to cause spoilers. It could be that a solo project or a large collaboration is being designed, and JIMIN prefers not to appear too much in public spaces, but others feel there is something deeper. They reject the notion that this is just a matter of work. They believed there was an emotional burden JIMIN was carrying, a burden that made him choose to remain silent. One comment went viral, JIMIN doesn't know how to keep his distance unless he's injured. That sentence shakes many hearts. This is not the first time fans have seen JIMIN's silent side. Several years ago, in a documentary, JIMIN confessed that he often cried alone and kept his feelings so as not to bother others. He once said that he was afraid that his worries would create a burden for other members. The words are now ringing again. Looming in the midst of this unusual silence, there is also a more bitter theory that JIMIN felt himself replaced. Perhaps he is feeling the distance with other members, or the pressure of the expectation of a public that never stops demanding. It could be that he is facing an inner conflict between being the figure that everyone expects and being himself who is tired. As other members began posting posts that indirectly touched on the issue of silence, fans became increasingly convinced that this was not just a coincidence. RM wrote an evocative sentence, "The quietest people often keep the heaviest things." Jungkook suddenly liked all of JIMIN's posts in a short period of time, as if he was sending a discreet message. On the night the hashtag Talk to Them, JIMIN became a global trending topic, uploaded a photo of the 5 of them together, smiling, warm. However, JIMIN still did not answer. HYBE has not yet given any statement. No clarification, no official explanation. They seemed to leave that empty space alone, even though the entire fandom wondered. Some fans were disappointed, others choose to be patient. But the question continues to hang. What makes a figure as warm as JIMIN choose to be silent? Some people suspect that he is preparing for a big move, a decision that could potentially shake BTS's balance. Perhaps this has to do with his career plans, perhaps also with his feelings for the current dynamics of the group. Some say that he feels distant, not because other members are away, but because he himself feels unable to reach out. One thing that makes this situation even more emotional is Jimin's very open nature. He is not the kind of person who can easily hide his feelings. His face was always a reflection of his heart. So when he chooses not to say anything, people know that it is not because he has nothing to say, it is because he feels unable to say it. One fan wrote, "Maybe she's afraid that if she starts replying to comments, she won't be able to stop crying." The sentence went viral, shared thousands of times, because many felt it was the only reasonable explanation. It wasn't that Jimin didn't want to say hello, but because he knew if he began to open that door, all that he had endured would come out and make him fragile in the presence of everyone. On the other hand, there are also those who understand Jimin's choice to be silent as a form of self-protection. In a world that always demands presence and a smile, perhaps silence is the only personal space left for her. Silence is a place where he can breathe, without the pressure to look fine. Even so, this silence still felt stifling. Fans missed the little laughs in the comments, Jimin's typical jokes that always felt sincere. They long for the warmth that used to feel routine, but has now become rare. Some even said that they refreshed the notification just to see if Jimin ended up leaving a single reply, anything, a single word, that could signal that he was still there, still with them. Day after day passed, and the silence turned into a kind of empty space that no one could fill. The other members kept going, kept working, but Jimin's silence felt like a small hole that couldn't be ignored. It's not just the absence of comments. It is absent from the connection that was once so familiar, so real, and the world continues to wait. Not waiting for a big announcement, not waiting for a new project, but wait for something simple, a brief comment from Jimin. A sign that he still feels the warmth he used to share so generously. Until then, fans can only guess. Is this just a phase that will pass? Or is it the beginning of something bigger, more permanent? No one knows for sure. But one thing everyone believed, Jimin's silence had become the loudest voice of recent times. The voice that speaks through absence. A voice that holds millions of meanings, but not a single word. Because sometimes, the greatest pain does not come from screaming, but from constant silence. And until Jimin finally says something, the world will continue to look in his direction, anxiously, with longing, and with a hope that when he does speak again, he will do so not because of the demands, but because his heart has recovered. And when that day comes, a small comment from him will probably be the most moving thing that millions of people around the world have been waiting for. Until that day came, ARMY could only continue to wait in silence, hoping Jimin knew that his silence was still loved. For true love does not always demand reciprocity, but a willingness to stay, even if only on the quiet side, accompanying in silence, in the hope that when it is ready to speak, the world will listen fully.